XMLM members and recruiters, what are your stories/red flags, and how did you manage to out of the industry? I was a call agent for Tahitian Noni for the USA and Germany, now called Marinda. It was horrible fielding calls near when people's $120 monthly auto payment was due for 1-liter bottles of juice. I couldn't cancel their subscription on late notice without a fax with their signature at least a week in advance, unless they claimed financial hardship. Eventually I learned that I would just need to feed them what to say and then gladly cancel for them on the phone. Total scam. Only people who made money were the early people to sign up and the founders, who are multi-millionaires. I joined Primerica. I didn't see any red flags at first, but small ones started popping up. Like my team leader telling me to basically live outside my means, to make people think I was doing really good, and then they'd join, and then I'd do really good. Or finding out all the contests ran around recruitment, and not sales numbers. I left as soon as I realized, even put my name and number on the do not contact list. Blew a lot of money trying to make that work, only to realize I wasn't going to make any money without fucking my friends. I think Primerica was the one that tried to get me. Just got laid off at the time, so was desperate to get anything. After asking about opportunities on my university's local alumni FB page, someone responded with an opportunity, saying they were ours. A lot of me trusting the company came from them just being an alumni. Red flags started going off when another person casually started contacting me about it. Neither of them told me what the company was. Still dumb enough to show up for what I thought was an interview. Semi-sketchy office building. No signs other than some ones that you would expect in a building like this. Small-time accountants or lawyers. Been a while so don't remember. Got into the office, and they had a projector, multiple rows of seats, sign-in sheet for attendees. Lots of people showing up in casual attire when I was dressed up. Obviously an information session, not an interview. Icing on the cake was the swords hanging on the wall that I guess you get when you hit a milestone. Noped out of there really quick before the presentation started. On the way out my contact followed me out and asked me where I was going. Must not have cared much, because only asked once, and didn't push when I said it wasn't for me. Got a call about a year later, again with very little info on who was actually calling. Figured it out when they talked about the information session last year. Told them never to call again after I realized who it was. Joined a jewelry-based MLM thinking it would be cute to sell jewelry as a side hustle in July. After I relocated across the country, I got roped into the be your own boss and make money while you sleep mentality, and for a while, it boosted my confidence because I truly thought I was doing a great job running my own business. On paper, I brought in good money, about $100 per live show, which was 1 hour a week, but I had to ship out the jewelry to them, which ate about 20% of the profit. Then the money earned went back into ordering more jewelry. By September, once the glitz and excitement of it all wore off, and I realized nothing was coming back to me, my boyfriend told me the only way to earn money in the business was to add new business partners. I told him I wasn't interested in doing that, but that was part of the scheme. I was so hurt by the people who had roped me into the business, so I quit that same day. Luckily, I made it out with only like $30 lost, but I still have a ton of jewelry and packing materials taking up space in my house. My recruiter told me she made $400 at the party I was at. I later learned she made 25% of that. I was told if I could get 2 people under me, I would make $400 to $500 per month. Then I was told I needed 4 people instead of 2. Then I was $2,000 in debt with nothing to show for it. Deleted them all and changed my phone number. Edit. I'm an owner of 2 businesses, so I thought adding a small side hustle would be an easy transition, but it turned out that as a legitimate business owner, I couldn't bring myself to use the toxic business practices that were expected of me. Cold messaging, hounding people for orders, constantly reminding people about deals, etc. When I left, I helped the 2 girls who were under me get out as well, and apologized for roping them into something I thought was a good deal. Some dude tried to recruit me into buying/selling energy drinks. It was a known scam throughout school at this point, so I decided to go along with it to see where it would go. The guy's dad was a friend of mine, and my dad has a pretty well-known computer shop in town. Anyway, I go to pick up MLM man from his house to go to a meeting. This guy loads 3 cases of energy drinks, I think they were called Vima or something, into my car. I was already sketched out and this was a liability I didn't want to encumber myself with, so I told him I had a family emergency. He got out of the car, told me to keep the -85 energy drinks. The 3 cases were in my car for a few weeks, never touched them. About a month after hearing anything, one morning there were maybe 8 to 10 cases of the energy drinks stacked right outside the back door of my dad's shop. 2/10 would not try to join a cult again. Yo. Vema/Verve was a big one that blew up at my school. After I had my first child, an old school classmate of mine said I could make money for formula and whatnot with their huge successful business selling these drinks. Convinced me to have my mom sit for my baby. She drove Mount to fuck whole random neighborhood and there were like 30 or so young/old teens, and it was creepy as shit. Basically pitched that you can make 15 grand in a month by buying these, and basically talking your friends into buying from you. And it was $175 to get my foot in the door. I said I didn't have that type of money being a mom and whatnot. Then, on the way home, asked her to let me pick up legit job application forms from surrounding stores near home, so I can make money. She never talked to me again. A few years later, Vema/Verve got shut down for being a pyramid scheme. Small world. My sil talked me into selling. It works. I was hesitant, didn't quite need the money, but figured extra income couldn't hurt. Was a seller for 6 months. They kept telling me to add all of these women I have in common with people I'm already friends with, and to post about it 3 to 4 times a day on Facebook and Instagram. I literally made an Instagram for it. They said to message at least 30 people a day about, and twice a week there was a group video chat they kept insisting I join. I couldn't join due to me being at my normal job. All in all, I hated it. I'm awkward and a terrible salesperson, and I made nothing from it. Never made a sale. They kept saying try and get your mom or aunts to support you. It was a waste of money and all. But, made out with one new friend. I fell victim to it. Works as well. I knew something was seriously wrong with the company when they would take your money for their hot new product and then you wouldn't receive anything for weeks, but they didn't hesitate to take the next payment for the auto shipment that you never receive in the first place. The straw that broke the camel's back was when they charged me 3 times in one day for the same product, and when I reached out to my upline about it, she said I would just have to call them myself. After waiting on hold almost 2 hours, the man on the line at customer support essentially told me that it was an issue with PayPal and not them, and there was nothing he could do. Needless to say, I then called PayPal and reported them, and PayPal essentially blocked them from making any future transactions. I eventually got my money back after a few days, but the whole thing was very inconvenient and definitely left a bad impression of MLM. A good friend joined World Financial Group, also known as WFO. I told her off the bat to avoid it. Major MLM scheme that preyed on family and friends. She of course ignored my advice and went all gung-ho. I told her that if she wanted to keep the friendship, please don't ever ask me to join. And luckily, she didn't. She attended a whole bunch of seminars and even went on a trip to the US. A very expensive trip for her and her guy. Paid out of pocket. I think she even had to pay for training and some of the seminars too. Then one day she just stopped talking about it. I assume she grew tired of it and gave up on it. MLM scams encourage asking friends and family members to participate. I fear not to bring it up again as I'm just glad she stopped going to those meetings. I worked at the head office of a large MLM, and one of the OGs, Mary Kay, you have to live, breathe, and shit pink. Honestly, I once got sent home from the office because I had made a cardinal mistake. I had worn a pantsuit to the office. As a woman, we were expected to wear a skirt or dress daily. I was new and didn't really think they'd get upset over a pantsuit, all things considered. I was wrong. I know this is a different perspective, but hear me out. I didn't really know what Mary Kay was initially. All I remember is seeing the old school pink eyeshadow cubes in my mom's Macupe drawer. I started to discover that things were all a bit strange and predatory. We would run campaigns inside of universities and colleges because the older generations all knew what was up. The company was marketing toward these younger girls specifically because they didn't know the shtick and hinging on the fact that we would somehow be able to convince them of making easy money. I heard a lot of horror stories the longer I worked there, specifically from people who were angrily demanding answers from directors at the annual seminar held in Toronto for Canadian Mary Kay consultants. People losing thousands of dollars. It all felt so criminal to have been a part of.